Okay, let's start with the next section of our series. So we're also gonna need some sort of maybe a reset button down here. So right, we're trying to simplify this as much as possible. We already have, 9 things on there, so as much as we can focus on the UI right now, it's still already overwhelming trying to deal with these layout managers. So I think we're doing fine. What I am gonna do though is I'm gonna add one more linear layout over here. So you can drag and drop, but you know what? You could actually just also uh, write all these properties in yourself. So I wanted to show you that here. What I want to do is I want the bottom one to occupy maybe zero point 0.5 weight, or maybe something smaller than that. You can see it actually auto completes it for me. So right here, so that's gonna be my reset button. And then what I'm gonna do now though is I can go here with the buttons, and then I can drag a button over here, and it places it there. You've got a wrap, and that should be good. Although, what is down here? Layout height. I'm going to do match parent there so that it occupies the entire thing. And I want this to say re restart for now anyway. We can do that later. So let's play it. As you can see now I have a restart thing. From last time you should be able to click all of these and they just all turn black, which of course is not what we want. We're actually gonna initialize them to be something else in the beginning. Um, so what you can do is I'll show you one way. Technically, maybe in the beginning you could all set them to some other neutral color where it indicates that, well, the game hasn't started or something. But I'll just say that for mine, what I'm going to do for all these, when I load them up, I don't want to set the image. I only want to set the image when I click it. So I'm going to remove all of my lines of code that changes or that sets the picture to some initial state. So here, right, the ones that are not inside of those curly brackets, that's the line of code that is setting the initial picture for each of these image views. So if I click that again, you'll know that okay, it's gonna do all this, but then there's nothing there. At this point, it's just the grid, but they're kind of hard to see. So maybe we can add something else. Let's see, at 9. So again, if you remove all those set image resource lines of code, now you're just left with kind of a blank space. And a lot of these formatting we can fix eventually, or we could just say we'll call it a day. We learned about linear layouts and move on from there, right? Remember, through all the projects, we want to slowly introduce more some nitpicky stuff we can start introducing as we get closer to project works, so that when you are on the project, you're producing way better code. So here, let me refresh it though, so that I know that these are clickable areas. What we can do over here is, I don't know, maybe we can set some sort of background color to these. So for an image view, you can still add a background color. So you can just do img1 that set background, and then you can actually parse a color from some hex code. So 50000 means, so essentially there's 2 letters for red, 2 letters for green, and then 2 letters for blue, RGB, and then the values are between 0 and FF, where F is a hexadecimal number. If you're coming from web design, you may know that. Red is kind of like an intense color though, so maybe I'll just do green for now. If I click play on this, I'll see that now I'll have one of them be green. So at least I know that I can click on these areas. The other thing I might want to try to adding is going to be the padding. So I'm going to go here real quick and see if we can add some padding or some space between all of these components of these widgets. So over here, we're going to add another property, and that property is going to be called padding. And let's say it's just one. Why don't we do like maybe two? You know, just for the sake of the demo, I want it to be more apparent. Four. And if you add this to all of them, at that point you figured out, okay, that's fine. I like it that way for that one. I can apply it to all of my images, and I'll be happy. Good enough. Okay, so let's pad top, bottom, left, right. If you don't specify essentially what you're padding, you can apply it to all four corners, not four corners, all four sides. Okay, so now you can see here that now there's spacing now between them. Perfect. All right. So the next thing, maybe we can just try to crunch these all up at the very top. So if you consider what you're seeing here, so maybe all of these actually only need like, you know, half of the space that they need. So these right here, I'm gonna make my button much bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the button layouts here. I'm gonna make this two. So, so as you can see now, it's pretty big, and that's okay. I just want these to kind of get scrunched up a little bit more. So they're more like square. Fine with me. So it's just a really silly button now, and that's okay. Um, let's continue adding the background. So you can add the background in code like this, but you can also work directly with the XML file. So one of the properties that you can add to these widgets, we'll start at the very top, would be the background color. So here we're gonna do okay, Android. So I mean it should auto suggest all the things that you can change as well. If you're ever wondering what's there, we're gonna do background. So same thing. So now if I want to copy paste kind of deal, should be way faster in the XML file. And it should change them quicker. That way you don't have to run the code. You can see that they're going to change here. Somehow I missed two. How did I miss two? That's so silly. Over here, I had another one there. Now, does it matter where you put this in the order? No, not really. You know, especially if one is not dependent on the other or anything like that. Doesn't really matter. Now we can click there. Great. So the other thing is, remember, we want to be able to switch between the black and white. We've spent some time right now kind of changing the format, making it more square with a silly button here. It is what it is. Um, Once you become like mini UI designers, you can perfect that later. So maybe I'll stop this recording for the next part.